Welcome everybody to this talk on CRM, Customer Relationship Manager. I'm Woody Hayday. I was co-founder of Jetpack CRM, and joining me today is Mike Stott, who was my co-founder of about 3 years now. We've been working together. Today we're going to see a demo first of all, followed by a Q&A on CRM and anything related to CRM really, any small business questions with a focus on software. If I change this slide, what I'll do here is I won't read this, bore you with it. What I'll do is let you read it yourself, and that'll give us a few minutes for everyone to catch up and join in, because I think it's still taking a little while to join sometimes. If we look at what a CRM is, though, at the crux of it, it's a management way. It's a manager of contacts. So that takes many forms. In terms of Jetpack CRM, the core guts of the thing is a list of contacts. You can put it very simply like that. There's a lot more that goes on to make that work well in all businesses of different sizes and types. But at its core, it's a really solid, stable list of contacts. I'll leave this up now for a little minute, let everyone log in, and then we'll move on to the demo. Right, we've got 44 people, Mike.
Yep, cool. It's showing 73 on mine now, so that's
there we go.
I'm counting.
Great. Okay, let's get started with the demo then, shall we? I'll stop this share, Mike, and over to you.
Okay, so you should be able to see my WordPress install now on the screen share. So if you missed any of the start, Woody just gave a quick overview of what CRM is. So it stands for Customer Relationship Management, or Contact Relationship Management. And the unique thing about Jetpack CRM is it sits within your WordPress website. So you don't need to be logging into an external CRM. You can just see all your contacts right next to your WordPress posts and pages, and in a dashboard that you're used to using every day that you do with your website. So Jetpack CRM will sit here underneath your WordPress dashboard, and it, as Woody said earlier, it gives you a central place to manage all your contacts. So we have our dashboard here, and it gives you an overview of how many contacts you've got in your CRM, how many of those are leads, so where you may want to be doing some work with them. So someone's expressed an interest in your website, your services, your products, how many customers you've got, and how many transactions have been made through your website or through your other means. So it could be via direct sales. So you could be doing that if you have a bricks and mortar business, people coming into your store, you could then add them to the CRM that they made a transaction, and then you've got that record. So I'll jump to the contact list. So this is all demo data, so it's all just randomized and a little bit different than if you were using it real life, but it gives you an overview of roughly what we've got in this CRM. So we've got, as you can see before, 1,001 contacts, and it gives you a central place to manage, so you can see how much each of these people have spent and their current status. So if you sent them an email, if they're a lead that you need to reach out to. So you can see you've got a number of leads here in the list. And what the CRM lets you do is you can go in and you can filter that list. So you can look at all of your leads, and then you can pick a lead, and you can see a little bit more information about that lead. So you can see here that they've had no quotes, no invoices, no transactions. So if you wanted to go in and make a note, so this is for Ollie. Ollie expressed interest and has since gone cold. Reach out in a week with a final offer. So that's added a little note onto the contact. And then if we take a look at that contact again, you can see that there's been an activity note there. And you can read a little bit more about it in the list. So then if we go back to the list, you can do a few more things here. So you can take a look at the latest log if you've added logs. So you'll see there. So for Ollie, that'll be the latest log. For others where they've been transactions added, it'll give you a little note of the fact that there's been a transaction. So as you're building up information on your contacts, so if you did eventually add a transaction, so bought our latest.
And at its core, CRM is a contact with associated objects. And in this CRM, in Jetpack CRM, that roughly includes quotes, invoices, transactions, and tasks or events. There's huge amounts of potential to extend beyond these core elements. And that's something we promote as much as we can. But transactions is a really key one we found. That nearly all businesses need to manage contacts and transactions.
Yeah. So as what you were saying there, so you do have quotes and invoices as well. So if you're building up a flow with contacts, you might want to first create a quick quote, and then that would lead to an invoice, which would then potentially lead to a transaction. If you have something like WooCommerce set up and you're running an e-commerce store, then you might go straight from somebody visiting your website, filling in a contact form, to making the purchase without the need for a quote or an invoice stage. So it's flexible in that you can use it from start to finish if you've got that type of business, or otherwise you can just directly add transactions if you don't need those interim steps. And through the CRM, you can turn off different areas. If you're finding like you're not thinking you're going to need quotes or invoices, you can disable them in the area of the CRM. So as you can see with Ollie, we've actually added it, then builds up that fact that they've had a transaction. And again, if you go back to the contact list.
I think the screen might have froze, Mike. If you give it a second, maybe.
Oh, sorry. I know what's happened there.
There we are.
Yeah, we're back. Okay, so if we go back to the list there, you see Ollie will show the transaction created. And then that's building up the history of Ollie in the list. So you can see that it's had a transaction, and you'll be able to see that in your all the data that you've been building up on Ollie as your contacts relations builds up. So that's what you can do with contacts. And the other thing you can see in the list is we have various tags. So Ollie's got a tag of VIP, and we've got various people with different tags of like, so Sol is one of our product partners, for example. And you can then click on the tag of partner and see everybody with that tag. So again, if you're editing the contacts, you can choose what tags they have, or you can add various tags in here. So, so I guess if you want a hot lead, that could be a particular tag that you add, and then you can save that contact with that tag. So then you can then filter anyone that you think, oh, this person is very, very close to purchasing from us. Then you may want to spend a bit more attention on people that are hot leads that have high value with you already. And as you can see, again, you're then building up various different activity logs for that particular contact. And taking that one step further, we have segments in the CRM. So you may want to segment your data a little bit further. So here we've got partner VIPs. So what I've done here is I've created a segment of people that has the tag of partner and a total transaction value of more than 3,000 in this case. And then that gives you an even more refined list. of people that match that segment. So then you can go back here and you can see you have partner VIPs, and it'll give you a list of everybody that's spent over $3,000 that you may want to give a little bit more focused attention with as well. So those are the main areas of contacts. And as Woody was saying, with the CRM, you can do a lot of different things with each of these. So you can add tasks, you can add more logs, you can edit the contacts if you wanted to change a bit of information. You can send text messages if you've got their contact details and you want to drop them a quick text. And you can do other things like saving social profiles. So again, if we just make these up. And then you want to jump on won't do, but that's essentially how information builds up. You can see the tags, you can see their social networks, and you can see when they've been in contact since.
Great. I think we've got a few questions waiting.
So okay, cool.
But I think if you've done the main demo, maybe you could just show extensions, and then we're good for questions, I think.
Yep, sure. So on the back of all of this, there are a number of extensions. So we've got a few active already on here. So for example, we've got Sales Dashboard, which brings through all of your data in a simple view. So you can look there of how much have you made in the past 30 days, how much in the latest month. So this will compare July to the previous 31 days as well. So you capture a little bit of the end of May in this one because of different length months. Or you can do longer periods, so you could look at the last year. Again, these are all dummy data. It's not real revenue, unfortunately. So,
this is just one.
Yeah, it's just one of various extensions that you've got in the CRM. So there's a lot of different things. Our images aren't loading up there. So there's a lot of different areas that you can extend the CRM into different parts. So if you're using WooCommerce, you can then import all of your orders from your WooCommerce store. And that gives you have a little area of the CRM here. And you can just import all of your WooCommerce data, and that will show up in the same place as we had in the main list.
Great. Okay, if you're okay with it, Mike, we'll move to questions.
Yep, sounds good. I'll stop my screen.
Cool. So we've had a few questions in the meantime, but if anyone wants to ask anything, please do ask in the chat and we'll catch it there. The first question is, how much is this offering? And I can answer that. This is what you're seeing here is Jetpack CRM, which is separate to WordPress.com at the moment. However, it might be built in the future. It's currently available in different formats. You can buy individual extensions for something like $49 to $149. The majority of what you saw, the CRM, is actually a free plugin, which is available to everyone just through the WordPress.org plugin repository. But we have these 31 extensions which supercharge various aspects of the CRM, and they're available individually. As I said, $49 to $149. You can get everything for $199. And we have a reseller package for agencies, which gives you everything but a lot more licenses, so you can get selling straight to customers.
Woody, if you're sharing your screen, there's nothing showing on mine. I don't know if anyone else is the same.
It seems to be showing on mine. Okay. I'll trust that it's working unless someone says anything for now. Next question then, maybe I can answer this again quickly. Is this part of the business package? I presume the question means WordPress.com business package, and again, I'd say not at the moment, but it may well be in the future.
Yeah, so if you do mean the WordPress.com business package, you can install the free plugin as part of that. And if you do upgrade to one of our Jetpack CRM bundles, you can install those under the WordPress.com business package, but it's not included as part of the business package subscription fee. It's a standalone CRM.
Great. So the next question is from Anthony. Hi, Anthony. The question is, did you build this plugin specifically for Jetpack, or was it acquired by Jetpack down the line? Similar to how some external WooCommerce plugins were made into official WooCommerce plugins. Do you want to answer that, Mike? Shall I answer that?
I'll let you answer that one.
So initially we were actually just acquired by Automatic itself, the bigger company. Over the course of a year, we worked out that it would be best placed that we sit within Jetpack. We thought that there's lots of positive collaboration that could be done there. And so we've actually only just become Jetpack CRM something like a month ago. So it's quite fresh, but I see a lot of potential there to add a lot of value to users. So it's an exciting future. I hope that answers your question. Next question then. Does Jetpack allow you to have accounts for sales representatives who are able to add logs transactions without needing to be logged in as admin WordPress account? Also, what kind of billing programs does CRM interface with? Go on, Mike, you answer.
Okay, I'll do that one. So you don't need to be a WordPress admin. You can be logged in the CRM. You can assign different CRM user roles. So you can have a CRM admin who controls all of the CRM areas, or you can have lesser roles if you just want somebody essentially adding notes to contacts and not being able to do much of the billing side. As for what kind of billing programs does it interface with that one, so the invoicing side of things, if you're doing invoices, we support PayPal and Stripe. But if you're using WooCommerce in conjunction with the CRM, you can use any of the WooCommerce checkout systems there to support, but you do need to run that through WooCommerce orders, and then the CRM will generate an invoice for that order for you, and it links back to the CRM that way. So we do have the integration there.
And in the future, there's a potential for adding more. What we found so far is that most users put things through Stripe, PayPal, or WooCommerce. There's obviously some that want other options, but we'll build them as we're asked. A significant audience pops up for them. Okay, that's that one. So any more questions, please do ask. We're happy to answer. I've got another one here. Is there value in a CRM on top of an e-commerce setup like WooCommerce?
Yep, I can take that one. So we do have an extension to connect with WooCommerce. So as you saw before, all of the contacts and transactions, if you're running a WooCommerce store, you can have those automatically go into the CRM. And then on the back of that, you can do a lot of things that we really didn't have time to go through today. So there's a lot of automations that you can set up that would, if you have a new transaction of a product name with a specific word in the title, you can have the CRM do certain things on the back of that. So if you're using it with something like WooCommerce, then there is value there that you can not just have it just for your WooCommerce orders, you can use it on top of your WooCommerce store, or you can connect a couple of WooCommerce stores to a single CRM. And that gives you a way of building everything in one place. So rather than having 5 different CRMs for each store, if you've got a contact that's buying from each of your stores, you'll be able to see that person just in one place. And you'll see that actually they've spent quite a bit in this store that you might have missed if you didn't have them all interconnected.
Yeah, that's a user base we didn't actually expect when we started. The user who has multiple WooCommerce stores, but it's actually a growing thing, especially this year. Lots of people are starting side businesses and product businesses. We found that WooCommerce has been a big hit this year, and by nature of that, WooCommerce with Jetpack CRM has done very well. Seeing lots of happy users. Great. So unless there's any other questions, maybe we'll stop this early. Totally happy to answer any questions if you've got them in the chat. We'll leave it a minute now and see if anyone's got anything.
So is it worth us sending the link to the website, Woody, in the
Sure.
chat?
So I put that in the main chat. If anyone wants to check out the website, it's there. It's been our pleasure to talk today for you, and I hope that you find a good use of CRM in your business. I know that for us, it's been a pretty key element in our growth all the way up to acquisition, but separately in other side businesses we run or family businesses we've helped and other situations like that. CRM is definitely a first step for a lot of businesses. We have one more question, which I'll answer. Can it hook up with Shopify? Jennifer asks. Currently, no, is the answer there. It's a very good ask, very good question, though. And I think we may already have that listed as one of the things we would like to add. I'm not sure. I'll make sure it is after this talk. But good question. Thanks, Jennifer. Anyone else? Anything else to ask?
Yeah, so we're happy to keep the session open for a few more minutes as well. So don't feel like you need to rush to type your question. And if you do have any questions afterwards, you can certainly ping it through to our, if you follow the link that Woody shared, there is a contact us, which we'll get through to myself and Woody in the end. So you can submit any further follow-up questions through there.
I'll put a direct link in as well, just to make that a little bit easier. If after this call you have any other input, you can simply go to jetpackcrm.com / well, click contact at the top is the easiest for you.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So, any more questions? Thank you. There, Marley has put that in the main chat. Great. We'll leave it open for a minute now, just in case anyone's typing something. We don't want to miss anything.
Oh, there we go. We've got another question, Woody.
There we go. I'll read it then. I'm serving information, not commerce. Can the other components track interests, geographies? So that's a sort of, I'm not sure which components you mean beyond interests and geographies, but I would say that the way we built this is to be as extendable as possible. Much like the WordPress itself, we've approached it in a way which should mean lots of things work out of the box with a bit of setting up. We have things like custom fields, which mean you can, per contact, say, where does this contact, perhaps you have a regional area which you want to cover. You can put that contact in that regional area through a tag or a custom field. That might be a way of doing that. We haven't got complex geography additions yet, such as like see contacts within a certain area. We do hope to get there, but we're not quite there yet. How I've seen people track interests is mostly through tags, I would say. Mike, would you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so either tags or, like I say, if it's a more complex interest than the segment area that we touched on.
Yep. Yeah, so segments are pretty complex. They can be as complex as you need to. You can add a collection of different field checks, things like, does a contact have a tag? Do they live within this postcode, for example, or zip code? Have they spent this much money? Have they got this custom field value? So maybe the custom field would be favorite sport, and then the sport would be football or soccer. And so you could build up all of those different conditions into a segment, which would quite quickly give you access to people in a specific zip code that like soccer, who have spent £1,000 with you or $1,000 or such things. Does that help, Valerie? I hope so. Thanks for the question. Right, we'll leave it open for a few more minutes, just in case anyone's got anything to say. Great, thanks, Valerie. Right, so I hope I'm not going to cut anyone off, but in a minute then we'll end the chat. Please do check us out on. Oh, there's another question. Let's
Ooh.
answer. Can we set up WordPress user authoring to CRM? For example, sales versus editors. Sale versus editors. Mike, you want to talk about roles? Shall I do that?
Yeah, I think we answered that one before, Jennifer. So when you have anyone that you want to access the CRM, you give them a specific CRM role. So that doesn't mean they automatically become an editor of posts, for example. They just can only access the CRM. So I'm not sure if there's a different question in there, but I think we've already covered that one.
Yeah, I think we do have a number of different roles, sort of building out between people that can edit contacts and people that can edit invoices. We will again be extending that so it's much more granular. But for now, it's definitely you're definitely able to have a differentiation between a WordPress editor, for example, and a contact manager.
Yeah. So I've seen one coming from Suzanne, so I can pick that one. So Suzanne said she didn't see how it will help with her tiny website and list. So what you can do is, if you have, for example, a website form on your website that can be something like subscribe for updates, and if they fill in that form that they're interested in your website, then you're building up that contact list in your CRM. And then you can use various extensions. We have a mail campaigns extension that lets you could email everybody on your list a broadcast to say, I've just done a new post, or I've got a new video available, check me out, subscribe. And you can start building up in the CRM, essentially like a social following of what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I'd add to that we often see, I guess there's a group of us that sort of didn't realize we needed a CRM when we're just starting out or we're building something. But it can be a really crucial and useful part of the growth element of this, because while you have maybe an email list and a small website, a CRM would be a great next step, because an email list is great, but what we found ourselves, I found myself, is you tend to have to send pretty sort of generic global bursts of emails. What you lack in what typically the mailing list companies lack is a really good segmentation, which CRM only CRM can give a really, really granular segmentation. So if you can send an email to your absolutely best leads or hottest leads, you might say, that one can perhaps get a lot more attention than the generic global one. So I would say that CRM is a good thing to at least dabble with, and you can certainly try the free plugin just to see if it works for you in that growth stage. I hope that helps, Suzanne. I think we had a few more. Mike, Jeanette says best wishes. Thanks, Jeanette.
Yeah, so I think we've probably got time for just one more, Woody, as well. So
sure, okay. Last one then. So Jessica has said, how have you seen non-profits maximize the use of this product? Mike, we'll take
that one. So we do have an integration with GiveWP, which is essentially a donations plugin. But even if you don't use that plugin, you can still essentially use this transaction side and just store them as donations. So if you're logging donations, you can do that through the CRM and through the transactions, as I was showing before. And if you have other ways to raise money for the nonprofits, so for example, you could have magazine subscriptions, you could have merchandise that you sell to help essentially promote the brand of the nonprofit, then that could all go in to the CRM as well. So it's not just donations that way, and you're tracking all those different types of contacts. So you could see, for example, somebody that's donated a certain amount with you that also subscribes to magazines, that has then bought everything you've ever put out from your merchandise store. So you can certainly use CRMs in the nonprofit area there.
We'll have to wrap it up now, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the end, but thanks, Jessica, for the question. And I would say that lots of nonprofits have used us and continue to. It's often a neglected market because it doesn't really fall under the business market, but in this case, the CRM is useful for both. Thanks for the question, Jessica. I hope that helps. We'll have to wrap it up now, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And I've been Woody, and this is Mike.
Yeah, cool. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.